9 important financial things to always take care of before traveling internationally. When it comes to international trips, a lot goes into planning things like airfare, accommodation, transportation, and leisure activities. But you also must plan financially by letting your bank know your travel plans so you don't end up losing significant cash while abroad. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. I hope you are doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous, if you were to ask. And if you're doing as marvelous as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or let's roll. Today I want to talk to you about international travel and some of the things you need to pay attention to so that you don't end up losing a lot of cash. Number one, inform your bank. Before traveling, you want to let the bank know where and, most importantly, when you'll be traveling. Be very specific. Talk to a customer service representative and make sure that you call twice. You call once, just let them know, and call again to confirm that the first person you spoke to has actually updated your account. Some banks will even allow you to go to log into your account and update things yourself by putting some information in the system, and they will read it. All right? Because if you don't do this, what happens is that many banks will systematically freeze your account if they believe fraudulent activity is suspected, right? And most of the time, fraudulent activity means unexpected foreign purchases, right? So basically, the last thing you want is being somewhere overseas trying to do some kind of shopping, and the credit card or the debit card doesn't work because the bank is not aware of the travel plans. All right. Number two, you want to do the same thing with your financial institutions. I'm talking here like your bank is number one because that's where the cash is stored. But you want to basically apply the same principle to all your financial institutions. I'm talking credit card company, right? So before you leave, get in touch with your credit card company. Let them know you'll be overseas. The same thing. And again, if you are lucky to have a premium credit card, like if you are, I'm not going to name names here, but if you have a premium credit card, you even have a personalized customer, like like a specific customer service member. So you have someone who would follow your account, and they will be able to make sure that everything is fine when you travel abroad. Do the same thing with your insurance company. Why? Because if you have insurance that covers you overseas, you want to let them know so they can, if something happens, unfortunately something happens, you are able to file a claim and things will go faster. The third thing you want to think about here is you want to obtain and save important telephone numbers, right? When you talk to your bank or you talk to your insurance company or your credit card, get as much information as possible, including important phone numbers. Phone numbers when your card is lost or stolen. Phone number when you get into an accident, so you want to call someone. You want to get roadside assistance. Right now, most banks and credit card issuers will have local banks you can call to report any adverse situations, so that you don't have to incur long distance calls. Right now, one thing you want to make sure is that when you get the numbers, you want to write them down on a piece of paper. And this is very important, folks, because if you lose your cell phone or your phone battery dies, you are not okay. That's why you need to write it down. You need to write them down. You need to write those numbers down so that you can easily access them. Another thing, speaking about telephone numbers, also make sure you write down the numbers of your immediate relatives, somebody important, somebody who can be contacted in the case of emergency. Again, you want to write things down because everybody's just kind of used to putting stuff in a smartphone, but technology somewhere sometimes doesn't work. If your battery dies, you are toast, and you don't want that. All right, I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. We're still talking about 9 important financial things to always take care of before you travel. And if you like the content of the show so far, please consider subscribing to our channel. We drop this kind of a beautiful show every single day. We love what we do. We like to inform people and turn on the notification bell so you are informed the next time we have a show that might interest you, a topic that might interest you. Comment below, like this content, and share. This is a public service information. So this is a public service announcement, if you will. We're trying to inform the public so no mistakes are made when people are traveling internationally. Number 4, check your account balance. Very important. You want to know exactly to the cents, or maybe to the dollar, depending on your account balance. You want to know exactly your account balance before you travel. That way, you'll be able to know if there is anything going on, somebody is, doing some fraud on your account, or you are just getting a lot of, because the last thing you want is to have overdraft fees, right? Because think about it. You are overseas, you're abroad, you just want to buy something. Not only you run out of money, you also incur overdraft fees. So always check your account balance. Make sure that your PIN number will work abroad, right? You want to find out if your PIN number will work where you're going. Some countries have different rules. Some countries have different diplomatic arrangements with the United States. So if the country is not in good terms with the United States, chances are your bank doesn't have a branch there, and there might be some issues with the PIN, right? So you want to make sure that you are very, very clear about that. You want to also let your bank know, and I said that earlier, that you'll be out of the country, and during that conversation, you ask them whether the PIN that you're using in the States will work in the destination country, right? This is very important. Not all countries have the same ATM network we have in the States, so you want to double check that. All right. You have to understand also that some foreign ATMs don't recognize 4-digit PIN numbers, which is why I was just telling you, you might want to double check and change your PIN if necessary. Number 6, inquire about daily and weekly withdrawal limits. It's very important. Not all banks have all banks don't have the same withdrawal limits, right? And especially abroad. Some banks have daily limits and weekly limits in the United States, and daily and weekly limits, they're different overseas. And remember that the limits may be expressed in local currency. So those are things you have to think about, and that kind of help you, not run into a red territory when it comes to your account balance, right? So one thing you need to make sure that you have is that you always need to have more than one way of paying. Maybe you can have some cash with you, and you can take some cash in the States when you travel, and when you get to the airport, you go to the Forex Bureau and you get some local currency, right? But you can also have some credit cards with you, so you kind of have a good mix of payment methods, so that if something happens with one payment method, you are not uncomfortable. Everything should be fine. All right, I'll get back right after this. I'm going here. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. We are actually giving a shout out to our millions of fans and listeners in the United States, and of course overseas. We really appreciate your loyalty, your support. We really thank you for everything all the nice messages you send us. And number 7, important financial thing to always take care of before traveling: use your debit card. Now, not before traveling. This you would do it once you are overseas. Use your debit card when getting cash in local currency, right? Because the thing is that if you use the ATM machine, you're getting the same interbank exchange rate as you do with credit card purchases, right? Now, it's also important to use debit card because most major ATMs don't charge a usage fee, right? You also want to make sure that you are able to, you cannot use a credit card, because credit card will just kill you with a 25% cash advance fee. Nobody wants that, right? So one thing you want to do also is that you can also, in terms of using a debit card, use a debit card because it allows you also to track your expenses. You can go online every day to see how much money you have left. most banks in the United States will update your account every 24 hours. So the update is done overnight. You would see the charge right away, but you basically will see the actual charge overnight. Another reason why you don't want to use the debit card when it comes to, you want to use your debit card rather when it comes to traveling around, is that some banks have protection. There are protection, some kind of protection elements attached to a debit card, so that if something happens, you can be compensated, you can recoup your losses up to a certain amount, as long as you can prove that you did not initiate the transaction. All right. Number 8, you want to inquire about currency conversion fees and international transaction fees. Right? Those vary widely. So it's important to know exactly what you will be paying if you make ATM withdrawals or you pay with a credit or debit card. Again, talk to your bank beforehand so you have all the list of fees in front of you before you make a move. Right? The thing is, you want to get the best deal, right? So if you know in advance the currency fees and the transaction fees, you can actually save money because you can make the right decisions whether or not it's worth it to buy something with cash or with a card. All right. And number 9, the last but not the least, use your credit card when booking your hotel or rental car. Especially for rental cars, you really want to use a credit card. Why? Because those rental car companies usually place a hold on your card for a certain dollar amount for incidentals, right? And this, if you let's say you rent the car for 2 weeks, that hold will be on your card for 2 weeks. So if you use a debit card, you need to have a lot of money in that card because that cash that is put on hold will be tied up for some time. All right, so it's really not the best way of doing things, but if you're comfortable with the balance you have, then go ahead and do it. All right, I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. If you just joined us, we were talking about 9 important financial things to always take care of before traveling internationally. Because this is an important topic, because when it comes to international trips, a lot goes into planning things like airfare, accommodation, transportation, and leisure activities. But you also must plan financially by letting your bank know your travel plans so you don't end up losing significant cash while abroad. And here are the 9 important financial things. Inform your bank. Inform your other financial institutions, your insurance company, your credit card company. Obtain and save important telephone numbers. Check your account balance. Make sure your PIN number will work abroad. Inquire about daily and weekly withdrawal limits. Use your debit card when getting cash in local currency. Inquire about currency conversion fees and international transaction fees. Use your credit card when booking a hotel or rental car. All right? Now, here is today's pro tips. I have 3 tips for you that are very important. If you are a frequent traveler, or even if you're just an occasional traveler, it would make sense to get a credit card with no foreign transaction fee. Right? Because then basically you're saving a lot of money, because credit cards have different features, perks, and fees, right? And the thing is that if you are able to get away with those foreign transaction fees, you're able to spend more money and you're able to use more of your card and reap all those rewards, right? Think about it. Because there are no fees, you're more likely to spend more, and the more you spend, the more rewards and perks you get. You accumulate, right? The second pro tip here is you want to protect your credit card account number and debit card PIN by using cash instead. Now, it's true we live in an environment where we're all electronic, but sometimes it's just good to use cash. Same old, good old cash is always good, right? And as I said earlier, you get some cash in the States. When you get to the country, you just go to the nearest currency exchange bureau and you just convert the whatever you need to convert. Another thing you need to do is you want to look for the best exchange rates before you buy the local currency, right? It's not advised to have to go to a local forex bureau. It's just better to get the one at the airport. Remember that airports have ATMs too, so you need to make the determination whether you're taking cash out of your account through the ATM or whether you're just converting cash you would have already taken out in the States and converting that cash into the local currency, right? It's something you have to do, but with proper research, you should be able to find out even before landing in the foreign country. All right. Good luck on your next trip, and I will see you next time. Remember, until then, stay marvelous.